Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer here to give you another episode of my weekly Q&A to help people's questions for answers. Series of questions that I've presented to you over the past week. This particular episode was pretty standard. We got a number of questions that I was able to answer in the comment section of the previous video, and I believe for this episode we have like 5 questions, all from regulars, no new people. So heck, we're gonna try to keep it being as consistent as we normally can. So like always, if you happen to enjoy this video or like to see more content like it, do not forget to press that like button and press the subscribe button so you happen to see more videos like this and other content that I do for my channel. And starting off with the first question was a pretty conflict driven question that went a little bit back and forth in the comments section, but heck, I have no problem answering this question. And it came from Brady Burke, and he wanted to know, do I think this whole pandemic will end anytime soon? Depends on what you mean by soon. Like, do I think this whole COVID-19 thing is going to come to an end by next year? Absolutely. Do I think we'll probably have to deal with this probably for the rest of the year? It's looking like that. And I'm not looking forward to it, but but overall, if we're talking soon, like, do I think this will be over by next year? Yes. Will it be early next year? Maybe. I mean, we gotta see. You know, they're working on vaccines, but yeah, I do think we will eventually get to a point where things at least get back to a sense of normalization, or that this whole COVID-19 is under control, or we know how to deal with it on a wide scale, and people aren't losing jobs, and people don't have to stay home as often. I think that we're kind of moving towards people not being able to stay at home, and, you know, I would love to be at a point where I don't have to keep wearing masks everywhere I go, because that does get kind of annoying, especially here in Vegas. But yes, soon, as in like next year, early next year maybe, but do I think it'll end like in the next couple of weeks? Probably not. So yeah. That's just how I feel. Next question comes from GOG. He wants to know, which faction do I think would win in a war? The Hellgas or the Chimera? I think the Chimera would. That's the hard part. I mean, I'm leaning more towards Chimera, simply because the Hellgas are more used to dealing with conventional armies, and the Chimera is anything but that. So, and the fact that with Chimera you could probably infect Hellgas and then turn them into Chimera, and the Hellgas have only so much resources. But when you think of technology, the Chimera's entire thing is terraforming planets, because the Chimera thrive in a cold environment. But the Hellgas can survive in that, and when you look at their technology, they definitely have some pretty interesting weapons that might be effective against Chimera. But I think it depends on the situation, but I think in an all-standing war, if you had just even sides, I think the Chimera would probably end up coming out the winner. I just think that the Hellgas probably could not... Put it like this way. If all of the armies of the Earth, which would be a much more divisive and much more expanded army than the Hellgas was, which the Hellgas was a massive army, but it wasn't like a planetary massive army. If all of the different armies could not do it, I just find it hard that the Hellgas could, and I think at some point the Hellgas would probably try to evacuate and get as much of their people off the planet as possible. But that's how I think a conflict between the Hellgas and the and the Chimera would probably play out. Next question comes from Nighted Slayer 666. He wants to know, what Resident Evil game do I consider to be the most underrated? Underrated Resident Evil game. Probably, in my opinion, I would go with Dark Side Stories. Simply because, you know, it is an on-rail shooter, sure. But I think the story between Leon and Krauser, I think that's interesting. Seeing a different perspective. The Raccoon City incident, I think, is also cool. And then seeing the incident with Code Veronica, seeing that whole scenario being played out, I think. So yeah, I would say probably the most underrated Resident Evil game that I've played was probably Dark Side Chronicles. The next question comes from Sahim Grimes Goku-san. You want to know, oh dear, another Resident Evil question. Do I think Wesker is alive, especially after all the evidence mentioned in 2006's Umbrella Corp? No. Wesker is dead. Wesker is dead. Heck, I just finished playing Resident Evil 5 at my new hangout place here in town. I just finished pretty much beating the majority of it. No, Wesker's dead. You do not go swimming in molten lava and get hit with 2, not 1, 2 2 RPGs and come back from that. The RPGs is kind of a symbol of anything that gets hit by this thing dies. Wesker, I got hit by 2 of these. He is dead. Dead, dead, dead. He is not coming back. And with the direction that Capcom is going with these games, it makes no sense to bring back Wesker back. So, no, Wesker is dead. And last question of the episode comes from Will Williams, and you want to know, have I ever gotten so mad at a video game that I had to take a break from it? Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. This is pretty common for people that spend a lot of time playing games. There's kind of a bit of like a pattern in terms of how I certainly like to play games. Like if I play something that gets, like when I play games, I'm usually kind of in a relaxed state. But if I get to like a part or a section or a boss or something that I get kind of frustrating, and I'll usually end up leave my relaxed position and go to a more tense position. I mean, if I actually had time, I would like show you the different positions I play my games in. But then I like kind of like get close to the TV and just kind of focus on it. And then I get a little bit more frustrated. And then at some point, if things don't start to work, something happens in which my frustration turns to me focusing less, and so I end up performing worse than I was before. So what I usually do is I stop playing, take a break, do something else for like an hour or two, calm myself, go over what we need to do, figure out what's the button sequences or whatever we need to do, think of the best possible way to get through this issue, and then go back into it. And usually 9 times out of 10, I'm able to overcome that. So yes, there are times where I have gotten frustrating, but I think for most people that play games and spend many hours doing so, we all have those kind of moments. It's how we approach them and overcome them that might be different from gamer to gamer. And that is pretty much all of the questions that were sent to me that I can answer for this particular video. I'd like to thank all of you that sent in your questions, not only for this video, but for the previous video that I answered in the comment section. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you get them in to me roughly before Wednesday around noon before I start filming the next episode. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next week.